The victory horns are live and they're loud, and I think a lot of people heading into this afternoon's festivities thought that they'd be sounding for Tommy Aspinall, which they are, and also Meatball Molly McCann. That is not the case, as Julia Stoliarenko stunned the O2 Arena with a quick submission win over Molly McCann. A lot to discuss here on the UFC London post-fight show. It's a beautiful thing. It's not even 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we have a UFC event in the books. Thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck, and history is being made, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited for this. Joining me on this post-fight show is the man who graces us with his presence on BTL multiple times. I believe he is actually the BTL champion, and he has the best theme song in the history of mixed martial arts. Let us welcome in the incomparable Eric New York Ric Jackman. Eric, what an honor. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here, Mike. Thank you for hosting this and having me in this seat.
Yes, it is great. So, look, normally we just get right into the main event and all that, and we will certainly discuss what Tommy Aspinall did and what happened in the co-main event. But let's just talk about this card, New York Ric, as a whole, because we tried to sell this thing as best as we could. Not a ton of stakes in this fight. Main event obviously had stakes. There's Tom Aspinall's return. A lot of local fighters, local talent on the card who want to show out in front of the O2 Arena. Usually we're expecting very loud, boisterous crowds that are just singing from start to finish. We didn't really get that. And a lot of the sort of low-key bangers, the fights we expected to be ultra fun and energetic just really weren't. I mean, let me just say this. The MVP of UFC London is not Tommy Aspinall. It's not Julia Stoliarenko. It is Paul Craig, because Paul Craig changed the momentum of this card. We were going to Slog City real fast, and then Paul Craig decided to get real pissed off after getting headbutted, and he changed the entire momentum of the crowd. But New York Ric, if you could give a grade to UFC London, start to finish as a whole, what do you give it?
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to wax poetic here instead of just giving a number, but it feels like a movie that was kind of like not great and then had maybe like a pretty good twist ending where like everything else was kind of disjointed and it wasn't great. And then all of a sudden the ending kind of brings you back. So I'm going to say, I personally like those types of movies. I'm going to say 7. I give it a 7. Tommy Aspinall capped off the night in the perfect way. And I think for me, that's kind of enough at this point. That's kind of what I expect from these fight nights, is like, if I at least get a main event with stakes where Tommy Aspinall is now saying I'm 1 or 2 away from a title shot, that works enough for me. So 7 out of 10.
So C minus, that neck of the
Sure.
woods?
It passes, but like, I'm not writing home about it. Will not think about anything other than Tommy Aspinall again.
Yeah. So, I mean, this card was a 16-and-a-half-year-old in Massachusetts that may not be able to parallel park, but still got their driver's license. That's what this card was. Like, all right, fine. You did enough. There you go. Enjoy the road. Just drive with adults if you could. Please, I'm begging you. That's kind of what this card was. Very sloggy, but yeah, it did end in a very electric way. Like I said, I think Paul Craig is the MVP of this card for multiple reasons, but let's talk about Tom Aspinall, because he's going to be the man making all the headlines. 73 seconds was all this man needed. The matchmaking was picture perfect. It would going to answer some questions. Marcin Tybura is very durable. He is very tough, and Tom Aspinall hurt him immediately. Like the first kick he threw, Tybura was like, uh-oh, don't love this. And then Aspinall just went bananas, landed the big clean shot. Killer instinct. Boom, boom, boom. Mark Goddard had seen enough. 73 seconds after it started, it was over. You could not write a better story for this return, could you not?
No, it was a perfect return. I will say, just for a quick diversion, I just had like PTSD as a bald man, you saying that he's tough and durable. That like Dana White flashed in front of my eyes, because that's literally what he says about every single fighter on the roster when he doesn't really know what to say. They're tough, they're durable, they go out there and fight. Sorry, I had like a moment there. As far as Tom Aspinall, yeah, you can't ask for a better script to be written than this. To look not only just like how quick the finish was, just not even to reestablish himself as one of the heavyweight fighters that you talk about in this division, but to do it a year removed from devastating injury, and to look as light on his feet and as quick and as agile and as game and as ready as he did is like can't be understated. We really don't see, in my opinion, like fighters that have had the injury that he had just come back in there and start blitzing people like that and looking the way he did. So that's the cherry on top. Like the dude could not have done better. If we're scoring that as opposed to the card, that's a 10 out of 10. If not, that's a 11, 12 out of 10. Does not get better than that.
So officially the striking numbers, Tom Aspinall, 13 of 18. Marcin Tybura, it says he landed 4 strikes. I don't remember a single strike landing for Marcin Tybura. So I guess Tybura did better than I thought he did, but what a performance for Tom Aspinall. Michael Bisping doing the Michael Bisping thing. When, who, what do you want next? And Tom says, give me the microphone, Mr. Bisping. And Tommy Aspinall says, I'm taking a trip to Paris. I'm sitting front row for Cyril Gane versus Sergey Spivak. I'm going to beat the winner of that fight, and then I'm going to beat Jon Jones. Perfect. I think he nailed it. Bisping and Felder both said, nah, let's just give him Sergey Pavlovich. I kind of like the direction Tom Aspinall went more than the direction that Bisping and Felder went. Where are you at with the call out and what's next for Tom Aspinall after this win?
Here's what I love about that call out is that's the preferable path if I'm Tom Aspinall. I think that Cyril Gane and Spivak are better matchups for him, like easier paths to the title than Sergey Pavlovich. So call for that one. Hope that the UFC goes along with your game plan. And if they don't, I have a feeling Tom Aspinall is not going to turn down a Sergey Pavlovich fight if number one contendership is on the line. So shoot for the path that you really want. If you default, if they don't go for it and all of a sudden Sergey Pavlovich is on the sidelines too long and they want to get him a fight and Tom Aspinall gets to step into there because it feels like those are the two names, right? Those are the ones that are going to be out there. Why not just do it? So I like that. I like calling your shot, making the road the way you want to do it, and then calling for Jon Jones at the end to make sure he knows that you're thinking about him, and hopefully he's thinking about you. So I'm with you. That's how I would have handled it. And if he ends up fighting Sergey Pavlovich, great. That's an awesome fight, and he would have done that.
Yeah, heavyweight's interesting because we got Jailton Almeida getting ready to fight Curtis Blades right around the same time as Jones and Stipe are going to fight. And then obviously we had this fight. We got what's going to happen with Gane and Spivak. You mentioned something I want to get your thoughts on because you said, let him know that you're thinking about him and hopefully he's thinking about you. And you're obviously talking about Jon Jones. Do you think Jon is now thinking about him after this performance, or did this do enough to at least open his eyes and acknowledge Aspinall's existence?
I think Tom Aspinall at Media Day this week said that he thinks Jon Jones might not even know who he is. I think Jon Jones knows who the heavyweight contenders are. Do I think Jon Jones is up at night in a cold sweat about it? No, but I definitely think he knows how good Tom Aspinall is and is paying attention to this performance. So he's got some guys lined up that look extremely impressive. Pavlovich, Almeida, Aspinall, these guys are all very, very young and very well. They're different degrees of young and very, very impressive. Young in the fight game, let's say. And I think Jon Jones knows that they're out there. I'm not sure he's thinking about how to tackle those problems yet. I'm not sure it's keeping him up at night. But I don't think that he's oblivious to some of the talent that's coming up in this division.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm waiting to see if like Jon even tweets out about this. Maybe like, very good. Very good. Nice performance there, Tommy.
I think it's early. I don't think Jon Jones is somebody who likes to give breath and like attention to people that early. Like, I think he's going to need a little more proof before he does that, because why elevate them, right? It may not be Tom Aspinall. Why am I giving Tom Aspinall airtime and shine if maybe Sergey is next, or maybe there's a fight between the two and we see who's next? I have a feeling he's not going to come out and congratulate Tom Aspinall. But maybe if Tom amplifies the volume a little bit, there's a way to get that. But he seems very respectful and classy. He's not really the like agitator type. He's just confident, as he should be after that performance. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I'm sure he's on the radar. But I don't think Jon's losing a wink of sleep yet.
What's the bigger fight right now if we could be made? Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall or Jon Jones versus Sergey Pavlovich right now? What's the bigger
I
fight? What puts more butts in seats? What gets more pay-per-views? What do you think?
It's going to be Tom, just on the basis of like he's going to be able to sell that fight. He's going to be, somebody that when sitting at a press conference can make you believe he's going to win. I said this a while ago. I don't even remember what it was in reference to. Actually, I know what it was in reference to. He did a panel for the UFC. It might have been one of those like 30th anniversary Q&As a while back. And just hearing Tom Aspinall talk, he makes you believe in him. He has a very unique ability when he says things that even if they seem far in the future, you believe that they're possible. And there's other fighters like that. Conor McGregor, notoriously like that. Every time he said something, and then obviously he manifested it and actually made it come true. But there's a certain element to some of these guys that when they say something, they say it with the confidence that makes you buy it instantly. And Tom Aspinall is one of those guys for me that, like, when he speaks, I believe what he's saying is true. And if he believes that he's going to be fighting for the title and believes he's fighting Jon Jones, there's a certain element of me going, maybe, okay. And so I just think if you put that in a press conference as opposed to Sergey Pavlovich with a translator, there's a different energy there. So yeah, I mean, no fault of Sergey's. The performances that he's putting on definitely make you believe. The way he's absolutely starching people. But Tom Aspinall, I think, is going to add a different dynamic by being able to kind of talk the talk as well.
Tom's just so likable, man. Like, when Paul Craig walked to the cage, the thing I tweeted out was, Paul Craig just looks like a guy that if you don't watch MMA, but you just saw Paul Craig walking across the street, you would say to yourself, that dude fights. Tom Aspinall, I would buy a car off Tom Aspinall. I'd buy a house off Tom Aspinall. I'd buy anything. I just want to hang out with the guy. He's just so likable and happy and positive, and the dude is athletic and he's fun and he's a damn good fighter. So we'll see. Looks like the hype is back where he was a year ago, and let's see if he can go to Paris and get the attention of God or Spivak, whoever wins that fight, and maybe Jon Jones will stick around and maybe that fight will happen. But this is a great start, successful return for Tom Aspinall. It was not a successful return to the O2 Arena for Molly McCann, New York Ric. She takes on Julia Stoliarenko. A lot of questions heading into this fight, more so for the matchmaking itself, because Julia Stoliarenko was struggling to make 135. She infamously fainted on the scale, canceling a fight with Julia Avila. Moving her to 125, people were trepidatious about it, not feeling good about it. Even if she makes the weight, is she going to look horrendous on the scale? Not the case at all. And she looked great on the scale. And then real quick, she takes Molly McCann down, no effort, gets in top position. Molly sweeps out of it. Looked like she was going to maybe lock in a rear naked choke. Molly gets on top. Stoliarenko saw it coming, slaps on a beautiful armbar. Referee kind of slow to get in there and stop the fight. And Julia Stoliarenko silences the kind of already silent O2 Arena crowd, at least this time around. Your thoughts on Julia Stoliarenko's performance? How did you react to how that co-main event ended?
Yeah, not surprised from the perspective that, like, if Molly McCann's going to put herself in a bad position, Stoliarenko is somebody who can capitalize on that. You laid it out very nicely that there's some concerns there. It should be a fight that's winnable for Molly McCann. She closes as a 2-1 or greater favorite at most sports books. It was a disappointing performance, if I'm going to be honest about it. And I'm sure, Molly has a lot to think about after this fight, but yeah, it's a fight that she should have at least been competitive in and got completely blitzed. And for Stoliarenko, like, she's had a rough go in the UFC. Now she's put together, she lost 4 out of her last 5, but now if you look at the ledger, she's won 2 out of her last 3, right? So it kind of shifts her opportunities in a major way, and I think it's good for her. Like, she'll now be able to kind of see where she hangs in a different division. And for Molly, I think there's a little bit of a reset needed. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think this is like, oh my God, you lost to her, like, you can't fight anymore. Molly's always going to be popular. Molly's always going to have fights out there that people are going to want for her and people are going to want to fight against her. But I think it's time to, reset a little bit and figure out where she stands and how she could be competitive again in this division.
Yes. And by the way, Jon Jones has responded to Tom Aspinall. Very, very short and sweet. just tweets
Yeah.
out, sounds good, LOL. And you know who didn't get a response like that? Sergey Pavlovich did not get a response like that. So
Well,
Tom did something right.
yeah, for sure, but it also goes to my point. Like Sergey Pavlovich is not hopping on the mic and being able to cut the promo, whereas Tom Aspinall is, and and look, it's a good advantage for him if he can continue to apply that pressure and do that. There's a chance that Sergey gets left in the dust. It's a what have you done for me lately sport, and Tom Aspinall has done it more recently, and done it very impressively, and then hopped on the mic and took his shot. So yeah, it's a rough spot for Sergey. I'd probably start my Twitter fingers going if I'm him. I don't even know if he has Twitter. Hop on Instagram, hop on Twitter, hop on TikTok, hop on Threads. Do whatever you need to do and start reminding people who you are, because Tom Aspinall has the momentum right now, and you need to take some of it back. But yeah, Jon with a little short but sweet one.
Yeah. I mean, if you just get the man's attention, that's absolutely massive. So big win for Julia Stolyarenko. Happy to see that happen. She really needed this win. She gets it done. She's now won 2 out of 3 after a tough start to her UFC runs. Arm bars in both fights, first round finishes. Nathaniel Wood, Andre Feely, great fight. We're still waiting for bonuses, by the way. As soon as the bonuses come up, we will let you know. Great fight with Wood and Feely. Feely was just absolutely heartbroken after the decision was read, but I think the judges got it right. And New York Ric, how about Paul Craig? How about Paul Craig? When you need life, when you need something big and fun and energetic to happen, you call Paul Craig, the hero we didn't think we needed, but we got today. Tough first round. We got middleweight kickboxing from Paul Craig and Andre Muniz. Then we got some fun scrambles. Paul Craig just like football tackled Andre Muniz. It was just not your catch can takedown. Just rumbled him over. Muniz slaps on the triangle. Looks like things could get a little hairy. Craig escapes. Muniz gets on top. And then he just delivers a Bam Bam Bigelow headbutt. Referee steps in. At least he stepped in to separate them and change the position. To be fair, they probably should have taken a point there. But all that did was just piss poor Paul Craig off. You headbutt Paul Craig, you better be ready for some repercussions. And Paul Craig delivered them. Big shots, ground and pound, big elbows. Paul Craig 1-0 with the finish in the middleweight division, New York Ric. Bear Jew gets it done. What did you think of Paul Craig at 185?
Yeah, like it. Think he could be a real problem in the division. I think Andre Muniz is somebody that people thought, okay, he could be a problem in this division. And all of a sudden, after a loss to Brendan Allen and a loss to Paul Craig, now he's slid further down. There's no doubt that he could be ranked in this division. There's no doubt I'm not saying there's no doubt he is, but he probably will be ranked somewhere very shortly. And so, yeah, I like this new coat of paint for Paul Craig. He looked absolutely incredible. Once it hit the mat, like the dude was just on fire. If the weight cut's not too much for him, this is fun. This is a lot of fun in a division that I think is really fun right now. Like I like the injection of him into the middleweight division. So yeah, A++ debut at middleweight. A fun fighter always. Like he's the type of guy that, as we saw, like dangerous even in the third round. He's always able to kind of be competitive and pull off late submissions even when it seems like it's dire. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the prospect of Paul Craig in this division, and it's a fun division right now. So I think there's some really fun and interesting matchups for him. And if he can put together a streak, I think it's the type of guy that Israel Adesanya might be see the fun in the challenge of if he remains champion, and the other contenders might as well. So yeah, good kudos to Paul Craig. I like it. Couldn't have gotten better. It couldn't have gone better for him, and I like how it's going to shake out.
This comment is hilarious. Stop putting Muniz against guys with 2 first names. That's just a tremendous comment right there. But great win for Paul Craig. Needed that. Sometimes you need the fresh coat of paint and got it and looked damn good. Fares Ziam gets a decision over Jai Herbert. Not a fight anyone's ever going to go back and watch again. Lerone Murphy, solid performance. Almost got Josh Kulaba out of there in the third round. Sweeps the cards. Got a couple 30-26s. I didn't hate the 10-8s in the third round because it was that one-sided and Murphy almost got him out of there. What'd you think of the Daniel Marcos Davey Grant fight? Like, close fight. I thought Davey Grant won 30-27 watching it live, but I'm not going to sit there and scream robbery because it was pretty close, but do you feel like Davey Grant wearing the crimson mask affected the way this fight was scored? Because I was stunned to see Marcos win this fight, if I have to be honest with you, New York Ric.
Yeah, I do think that affected it in a major way. I think it was a look. You had it 30-27. I can't say I was watching it closely enough to say definitively a score, but I had Grant winning, right? If gun to my head, I think I would have had a 29-28 as a live watch. But I'm working here, I'm looking away at certain times. But I don't think it's the type of fight where we're called robbery. It just does not feel appropriate for this circumstance. I think, but if you're Davey Grant, like, yeah, you have reason to kind of say, hey, I thought I won that one. But yeah, it's one of those fights where God, I hate the expression, it could have gone either way, but it could have gone either way. And Grant was on the wrong side of it. And I think they'll both, dust themselves off this performance and move on from here. But yes, I did score it for Grant. I will say in my distracted watch, I believe I would have had a 29-28 Grant.
We also had Johnny Parsons, successful UFC debut. Took him a minute. He got his contract on the Contender Series. I believe it was October of 2021. He told my good buddy James Lynch concussion issues kept him out for a while. Goes out there, has a crazy ass fight with Danny Roberts and gets the finish with 3 seconds left in round 2. And then he called out Paddy, and boy, was that a rough call out, man. And apparently he went to the post-fight presser or his post-fight scrum and was like, yeah, didn't really think that one through. I'll fight somebody else. I forget who he actually called out at 170. Oh, he called out MVP, called out Michael Page instead, which would have been more interesting if he actually did that with MVP being in the building and him just announcing his free agency. But what'd you think of Johnny Parsons and the mullet and the energy this guy brings? And what'd you think of the call out? Because he tried to do the thing, but didn't do the thing.
Performance, great, like fun, kind of playing with the crowd a little bit, like embracing the idea of being unliked in London. Enjoyed all of that. The call out just fell flat for me. Like, you're not fighting Paddy Pimblett. It's a bad call out. The rhyme was corny, like just not for me. Much prefer the idea of, hey, can I lure MVP into a fight? Hopefully the UFC signs him. Wish he did that in the arena. Wish they cut straight to MVP and had a reaction shot. That would have made for some much better viewing. But look, good performance. Like, the dude is going to have some fun fights ahead, and I like that. But yeah, the call out fell super flat for me. Like, there's no chance Paddy Pimblett. We were talking about, like, is Jon Jones going to respond to Tom Aspinall? I don't think Paddy Pimblett even looked down at his phone to think about responding to this call out.
Yeah, Paddy probably was looking at his phone while Johnny was talking, because there's no chance he's going to call me out. We're not even in the same friggin' division. Why would he ever call me out? The MVP one would have been great. Let's be clear. He ain't getting that fight either, but it still would have been cool and good imagery to see if MVP would react to that. Joel Alvarez gets the submission win over Mark Jacasey. Clash of heads. Probably Jacasey kind of got hosed a little bit. Fight should have been stopped, at least giving the fighters a chance to recover, but didn't happen there. Mick Parkin wins. Mahmoud Muradov, a new contender for the middleweight title. Didn't think I would say that into a microphone after fighting Brian Barberena, but that's what we got. Ketlin Vieira wins against Pannie Kianzad. That was the fight, and that's all I'm really going to say about it. Chris Duncan, nice performance against Yanal Ashwus. Yanal Ashwus, that dude's born for this fighting thing. I would have loved to have seen that fight go 15 with him having the usage of like both hands and both arms, because that would have been crazy. I was like backing this dude up with one hand. It was insane. But Chris looked good. He's evolving. What did you think of that fight?
Yeah, I will admit, like, I hope, I would say I hope he didn't recognize that the hand was compromised. It's almost hard not to. I'd like to see you finish a dude who's clearly like defenseless on one side of his body and carrying that one hand like super low. I would have probably liked to see a finish out of Duncan there. If I'm being completely honest, he's fighting around and change with one arm. Maybe even 2 rounds. Actually, it seemed like two rounds just completely throwing, lead uppercuts with one arm while his other side is completely open. So I would have liked to see a finish, but yes, the toughness of Ashmu is there, like next level. Dana White and loves, and the UFC love guys like this who just like don't look for a way out and are willing to fight to the bitter end, no matter how compromised. So yeah, I think he'll be in good standing, even though I think that was his first loss. But he'll be in good standing, and somebody that I think they'll look to book again, and hopefully, not huge damage to that, and can heal up and fight again soon. But yeah, my honest takeaway was like, I was thinking Duncan should finish this guy. If I'm being honest, that was my takeaway. Good performance. Like, no, I'm not trying to be overly critical, but he had one arm.
Yeah. Bruna Brazil stops the hype of Shauna Bannon. Bannon loses her first fight. I don't think Zhang Weili or any ranked strawweight lost any sleep over this fight. But Shauna showed some stuff. She came back, nice third round there. But she's probably like 2 or 3 more wins before, like too early, I guess. But you're going to the O2 London card. Not a bad name to put on there. The fans know who she is. I didn't hate it, but I don't think that loss is going to age very well for her. And then the first fight of the night was really, really good. Daniel Barras looked like a world beater at 125. And then Jafel Fila was like, all right, had enough of this. And then just ran him over and tapped him. What a comeback. And I was like, Casey and I were like, we're watching the beginning stages of that fight at the end of the People's Street Fight show. I'm like, man, if this is how this thing is going to start, this is going to be fantastic. And boy, did the pendulum swing the other way real quick. But there you go. We'll see. We're still waiting on bonuses. This is like the longest we've ever had to wait for bonuses. But, oh, wait a minute. We got bonuses. Breaking news. You want to take a guess here, Rick?
Yeah, I was going to say, do we want to play a guessing game? Fight of the night, Feely and Wood. Is that correct?
Keep going. That is not correct, actually.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
There is a fight of the night. It is not that, which is shocking.
Interesting. All right. I'm going to say Paul Craig performance.
Check mark.
Okay. And Tom Aspinall, other performance.
Check mark. Fight of the night.
What is fight of the night if not Feely and Wood?
Johnny Parsons, Danny Roberts.
Okay. You know what? Look.
Don't hate it.
That was a good fight. Like not the most technical affair, but they were scrapping in there, and I enjoyed that. So yeah, you know what? I'm okay. That was a perfectly fine choice. I would have given it to Feely and Wood. I think there was a little more at stake there and a little more technique on display. But yeah, those two slugged it out. So no issue with that one. Fair enough. Fair play, as they say across the pond.
Did Julia Stoliarenko get hosed here?
It's a fair one. You know what? It's a completely fair one. Maybe, yeah.
I kind of feel like Aspinall shouldn't have got.
Oh, come on.
What is he, a minus 475 favorite? Like, this is how that fight, everyone expected that fight to go. First round finish for Tom Aspinall.
That's fair enough. If they don't give him the official performance, that's one where you hand him a bag of money in the back, because that arena was on life support. And he was the only thing. He was the only thing that gave that thing any life. And when he did what he did, it came back alive, and you could actually hear, it was dead silent in there. You could hear pin drops the whole card. They're showing Paddy Pimblett on screen. They're showing MVP. They might as well have not even cut to them. It sounded like nobody gave a flying F. Tom Aspinall got that place rocking. If he doesn't get the official performance bonus, that's one where he gets the paper sack with some money in it. But you're right to ask. You are definitely right to ask if Stoliarenko deserves something there, because in the co-main, to be a big underdog that way and get it done that fashion, it's fair. It's completely fair. Look, maybe she gets something in the paper bag too. So maybe that's how it works. But she deserves it. She deserves it.
Filio should probably get a little paper bag too. Maybe not as big as Stoliarenko's, but a little something.
Nice, a very nice comeback. And Wood and Feely put it all out there. You could, there's some cage side angles of Feely kind of being a little bit devastated. Another close fight, right? Like he had Wood in a really rough spot second round. It seemed like it was one apiece going into the third. They were a little more trepidatious, right? Nobody was wanting to kind of leave that opening to get finished. And I thought that Wood did a little bit of the better work. Feely busy though, like it's a tough one, and a performance where you feel like you both showed a good account for yourself, and it's just a razor thin margin. So yeah, even though this card wasn't like fantastic from bell to bell, there was some moments, there were some pockets in there where you're getting some fun action, and then the crescendo with Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, what was good was really good, and what was bad was really bad.
That's right. That's right.
That's it. This is a no gray area card for sure. So there you go. Let's bring Casey in, and we'll see what the peeps have to say. We'll take a few questions from the peeps. I will say this: I did nail the Stoliarenko pick. Nailed it.
Let's talk about it.
First round submission. Said it. We got proof. I got receipts. You can just go on the video right before this. My official prediction was Stoliarenko first round submission.
I was confident in Stoliarenko, but you were even more confident. So good for you.
Yeah,
for you.
If she was gonna win that, to me, that's how she was gonna do it. She was just gonna tackle Molly and submit her real quick, and she did. That's what happened.
She did that. She definitely did exactly
that. As soon as she took her down, I'm like, oh my god, this is actually gonna happen right now. And 30 seconds later, it did. Good for her.
Molly, I mean, losing to Erin Blanchfield is one thing, but to basically get Erin Blanchfield again by Stoliarenko, like, is it just a bad streak for Molly? Like, I don't remember her being this poor on the ground previously.
I wouldn't.
Bad on the ground.
She's pretty bad on the ground is my takeaway. I wouldn't like overly compare the levels, right? Like where it goes like, okay, she lost to Blanchfield, but now she's losing to somebody who's way lower. And what does that say about her?
And the same dominance too. I mean,
but to me, it's the same method, right? It's the same deficiency. Like if you gave her somebody around Stoliarenko's level who's going to stand on the feet and slug with her, she's going to look better. That's just how that goes. Styles make fights. There's certainly something that I will take away from this. Like, look, the fight against Blanchfield to me was Molly McCann's ceiling, right? Like that was where she's going to net out, where you just can't go any higher than this. Like she's not championship level. That's where this ride is going to end. And it did, right? Now I think she has to assess like, what is the level? Is it Stoliarenko? If it's a more favorable style matchup, if it's a striker, maybe it's a little bit higher, right? So I think it's still TBD in my opinion. I think there's still some fun fights that she could have, but she needs to have a look and see where she's at,
I think it's still a TBD on how this fight looks maybe a year from now, because we don't know how good Stoliarenko will be at flyweight.
That's right too.
Because she is a talented bantamweight who just kind of hit her ceiling at the UFC level, but at flyweight, who knows? But
yeah.
Question.
I know Ariel hated the Molly versus Erin Blanchfield fight. I absolutely loved it. I thought that was brilliant matchmaking because you had to do it. You had to take the shot. You had to. There's nowhere left for Molly to go. It's either we just got to push her to the moon. We'll throw her in there with Blanchfield. She wins. We give her Shevchenko. We just give her the freaking title fight in London. Like you could do it and it would make sense.
That's exactly right.
The storyline at that point. Okay. Yeah.
You have to find out. Look, she's probably not going to win this fight, but this is the only shot we get to push her that way. So let's do it. And it made perfect sense to me too. Like this is how you're going to get to that shot. And we found out her ceiling, and that's fine. Like not everybody is a UFC champion caliber fighter. But now I think there's a little bit of ambiguity. I'd like to see where she actually is. I'm not 100% sure. I want to see how she is in a more favorable style fight, because this was not a favorable style fight. The odds were a little off in my opinion. And obviously there's people like you, Casey, who were kind of like pointing to that and thinking about that.
I just think most people just didn't really know who Stoliarenko was. That's really it. I think if she had more higher profile fights that people kind of remembered, then I think they'd been like, oh, this isn't that so good. This isn't that great a matchup,
To be fair, she lost 4 out of her last 5.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you don't really look at the names she lost to, but if you just look wins and losses, she's on a losing streak. But those are if this whole time she was actually a flyweight, fighting at bantamweight. Like, that's what I mean. So
a lot of it had to do with
with
the weight class too. Yeah, the weight class was big because no one thought she could make the weight. Everyone's like, what? She can't even make 135 like in a healthy way. There's no way she's gonna make 125. And then she did on Friday, and I was like,
remember what I said earlier on the show? She trains in Lithuania. That means she has to travel across the world and fight in Vegas and everything. And your weight cuts just sit on a plane for 12 hours. It's gonna mess up your weight cuts. So and I think this fight being in Europe, it's only a couple hour flight, a couple hours to get there. I think it changed a lot, and I think that really benefited Julia.
Yeah.
Questions.
And she's only 30.
Yeah.
Mike had cuts. Hey, listen, even a clock is right twice a day. It just
this is your.
I've been wrong about so much, and I'm
we
man enough
get
to
him
get
right.
on this
Yeah, I'm gonna throw every compliment up there for you. We get him right. Yeah. We want to talk about the wrong
take a victory lap. Don't be so humble. Take a victory lap.
I was wrong about a lot of things on this card. I mean, a lot of the ways I broke this card down, like it could have went the way, like the Jai Herbert fight. I was like, the only way Jai Herbert's going to win this fight is if he wrestles and gets takedowns. And he was actually doing it, but he just couldn't get an actual takedown on a guy who has like no takedown defense. So I was stunned that Jai couldn't get him down. Yeah, I got a lot of things wrong, but
the takedowns from Jai left a lot to be desired. Let's just say that there was some work to be done there. But look, this is the beauty of live shows and the internet, Mike. We don't even have to talk about the ones you got wrong. We can just pretend that you got them all right and just move on. Like nobody's checking this. There's no fact checkers out there. I heard you got every single prediction right.
I didn't. I didn't.
God, Mike, just help me here. Help me. Help me.
Hey,
help you.
I was over 500, so I'll take that.
Okay,
but,
there we go.
Yeah.
We'll look at the silver lining.
I'm a Hall of Famer in baseball with these types of numbers.
All right, this is I don't know. Sorry. What do you guys think about this comment?
Jones is planning to duck every heavyweight in their prime that can grapple. We want him to fight Pavlovich, Aspinall, or Almeida, not old and washed Stipe. First of all, what have you seen from Sergey Pavlovich that makes you think he is going to be a better grappler than Jon Jones? Because I think most people who view Sergey Pavlovich from a grappling perspective feel like that Jon matches up incredibly well with Sergey Pavlovich and feel like Jon is going to easily beat him. That's how most pundits view that fight right now. Aspinall, Almeida is a different challenge. Aspinall is at least fun and has personality and can at least sell fights and could possibly make Jon money down the road. Jon is in prize fighting mode right now in New York, Rick, and he ain't ducking anybody. You think the baddest dude on the planet in a lot of people's eyes, one of the greatest fighters, arguably the greatest fighter in the history of the sport, is ducking anybody? No. But he's a prize fighter. It's about making money, and right now, in terms of making money and putting butts in seats and getting gates and selling pay-per-views, Jon Jones versus Stipe is a bigger fight than all three of these names, and it's not even close. So do you agree that Jones is going to try to avoid these guys, or do you feel like Jon, if he beats Stipe, which I think he will just take a sabbatical, wait and see if somebody emerges as the next big thing officially, and then, you know what? Now I'll give this guy a shot.
Let me just say this. Kevin, appreciate you. This is not a personal attack at you, but I'm going to go on my soapbox here because you're not alone, Kevin. There's a lot of people who think that fighters who have fought their whole careers and took a very hard road, some of these guys and girls from like completely disprivileged backgrounds or like war-torn countries and things like that, fight to the UFC level and just are like scared or ducking or looking for easy way outs. There's none of them. There's none that exist at this level of fighting. They are going to take the matchups that are presented to them. They're going to look for the quickest ways to the title. They're going to look for the fights that make the most money. And that's just the nature of this circus. Jon Jones, the greatest fighter who's ever lived, in my opinion, and right now one of the pound for pound best in the world, is not ducking anybody, is not scared of anybody, is not looking for an easy route. He's looking to maximize his earning potential at the very end of his career, which he deserves to do after probably being underpaid for quite a long time, and making a lot less than he could have in a different era. Is now going to fight Stipe Miocic in a fight that the UFC knows will sell and Jon Jones knows will sell. And then we'll see from there. Maybe he fights Sergey Pavlovich. Maybe he doesn't. But like, if he doesn't, trust me, it's not because he's scared of Sergey Pavlovich or ducking Sergey Pavlovich. It's because the fight wasn't going to generate the income and not be worth the risk. And he's set and he can walk away. And his legacy is completely finished and defined. Jon Jones is if not the GOAT, and some people will not have him there. I think there's some asterisks to be considered, which is fair. One of the GOATs. And yeah, no, Jon Jones is not ducking anybody. And nobody at this level of fighting is ducking anybody. It's just a business. It is a business, and that is the thing that people forget. Like when Khamzat Chimaev is calling for everybody, and all of a sudden, why didn't Khamzat fight this guy? It's not because somebody from Khamzat's portion of the world is ducking or scared of anything, or Colby Covington's making up narratives. Like that's just not a reality. So Jon Jones, not scared.
You know, it's wild. If Jon fights any of these guys, the narrative will not be that at all, because to pique Jon's interest, one of these guys will have to win the title that he will vacate and then run off like 3 or 4 devastating title defenses in a row where they look like absolute world beaters. And then Jon will be like, okay, now I'll come back and fight. Like Jon will get them at their best and when it makes sense and dollars. So it's what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's prize fighting.
At their best. I don't know.
Or in the middle of their zombie run, if Jon wins and vacates, and Sergey Pavlovich just annihilates the next 4 guys he fights, wins the belt, defends it 3 times, and gets over, Jon could come back for that. Like Sergey has put himself in a position to be the guy, rack up 3 title defenses, get on the top of that record book list. To that point, then Jon will be like, all right, now I will fight him.
When you just said I understand what you're saying. When you said the best, because he is not fighting the best Stipe.
No. This is prize
if he vacates. Yeah, I got you. Sorry. That's why when I said best, I was like, well, hold on.
Yeah, there's no Ngannou. There's no Francis. So this is the biggest fight he can get right now.
If I'm being honest, I think Aspinall is more likely. Not that I think Sergey is going to lose, but I think Aspinall to me, he has the whole package, right? Again, I've already talked about this, but the mic aspect of it, being able to kind of hold your own in that regard, I think is going to be major, and call your shot. Like just that promo he cut, hey, I'm going to go sit cage side for Gon and Spivak. I was kind of like, okay, let's see where this is going, because that's not exactly exciting. And then I'm going to beat Jon Jones. He wins you, and it works. It's kind of Charles and Khabib, right? Like Charles and Khabib was a fun fight that people were kind of like thinking about, but all of a sudden Charles racks up all those wins against the cream of the absolute crop at lightweight, and now all of a sudden Charles and Khabib is a pay-per-view box office attraction. If somebody can go on that run, Jon Jones is going to be in that Khabib seat where he has a consideration to make. Now, we're assuming that Jon is going to walk away after this. I think the chances are high that happens, because I don't think these guys are box office yet. But if all of a sudden Jon walks away for a little bit and sits on the sidelines and somebody becomes a box office attraction the way Charles Oliveira did, now you've got a decision to make. Do you come back and put that O on the line? Or do you ride off into the sunset and keep the legacy intact and not risk it? I think there's a real consideration to be made. But, man, it's going to have to be a big money fight. It is not just going to be like, Sergey Pavlovich is the next up. If Jon Jones does that, kudos to him. And, he's the GOAT, and he's the GOAT for a reason. But I just don't see it happening. Like, he needs to make money in these fights, and I don't know if that's the box office draw.
Real quick, you said none of these guys are box office yet. What will it take for Aspinall to be whatever you want to call box office, like the guy? I mean, what does he have to do? Because he's main evented 2 sold out arenas in London, or it's 3? Is it 3? Is it 3? 3 sold out events. Tom Aspinall's headlines. I'm just wondering, like, what does it take for him to get that next level in your eyes?
It's a fair question. In my opinion, that's friendly territory, right? Like that's the best circumstance, and that's where your guy's going to succeed. When you start headlining pay-per-views in Vegas, now you're a box office attraction, right? When they say we can take you anywhere and put you anywhere and sell, now you're potentially a box office attraction. I don't think it's far away. I think he could be one. Look, if he fights the Cyril Gane, if he fights the winner of Gane and Spivak, Gane, I think with a little more juice to him, that could be a co-main on a really strong pay-per-view. Or I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden they're like, this guy's a number one contender. Maybe we put that on a pay-per-view, not dissimilar to what we're seeing with Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, where like the stakes that are kind of on the line there, or the status of that fight is something to think about. I think that's where you start becoming a box office attraction. When you're high up on that pay-per-view card, that's where the UFC is now saying we can bank on you and we can make money. And especially if it's in Las Vegas, if it's Charles Oliveira can fight anywhere now. He didn't used to be able to headline any card anywhere, but he can now. And now he's in a headline fight against Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember it was just a couple weeks ago when people were asking, why is Bo Nickel on the pay-per-view, And I was saying, because the UFC is conditioning you to start paying money to watch Bo Nickel. The problem with Aspinall, you watch him for free. You're not used to paying money to watch Tom Aspinall. Once you start paying money to watch him, that's when you become box office. Yeah, totally agree with you.
And this is the right fight. This is a perfect fight night headliner because, like, he's a tough guy. He's durable. Thanks, Mike. He's tough and durable. And he's going to have the performance that you want to see. And now the next one feels like it's ripe for a co-main pay-per-view, or even potentially, like, if things get sparse in the calendar year and you've got to up the number of pay-per-views, you could do worse than Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane's been in pay-per-view headliners. He's headlining in Houston against Derek Lewis, and he's headlining against Jon Jones. Now, he was on the wrong end of the Jon Jones one, but he's been a pay-per-view headliner before. Francis Ngannou. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you could do worse than that. I wouldn't be shocked. Or if all of a sudden Jon Jones is out of the picture, maybe there's a belt somewhere on the line somewhere soon. I could see Tom Aspinall in that spot. So that's when I think the threshold gets crossed, I'm
with you. If you're Tom, do you offer to be the backup for MSG? Stipe is older and could suffer an injury, and let's hope Jon has no antics. Tom should offer to be the backup. What do you guys think? I think Tom's kind of got his mind made up right now. I don't think Tom is more confident now, New York Ric, but it wasn't all that long ago when Tom Aspinall was sitting up at press conferences and in the post-fight interview saying, I'm in no rush, man. I'm in no rush. I want to fight number 15, then number 14, then number 13, and number 12. And we'll go one at a time till I get all the way to the top. Obviously, the timeline has moved a little bit forward. I feel like Pavlovich is probably going to be slotted in as the backup at this point. But if you're Tom Aspinall, are you calling the UFC right now being like, I'll come to New York. I'll be your backup?
It's a no harm, no foul situation. Like, this is heavyweight. We're not even talking about a weight cut for Tom Aspinall here. What did he come in, like 258? If he stays in shape, we're not even talking about like the situations where you look at some of the other guys who have been backups where they have to put themselves through a weight cut and then not have the payoff and not actually even fight. Tom Aspinall could roll into MSG and just be like, yeah, if you need me, I'm here. So yeah, why not make the call? No harm, no foul. Although I will say, to your point, you've pointed something out very astutely that I was also going to point out, which is Tom Aspinall has been very vocal about, I'm not in a rush and there's a path here and I'm not worried about taking the slow road. So it could be a situation where he's like,
was that pre-injury? Because tonight
that was pre-injury.
He was saying I am a different person. He made a point of saying that, like, I'm not that guy from a year. I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's very fair.
Yeah.
It's completely fair, but most people in that situation still go, I want Jon Jones. And he went, I want the winner of Cyril Gane and Sergey Pavlovich, and then I want Jon Jones.
Well,
he's a
10
different
fights to 2 fights. Yeah. So.
Yeah, exactly. He's shortening it, but he's still the guy who kind of like sees his route to it. And I think I feel like we kind of got robbed, and he got robbed a little bit in the Curtis Blades fight, because I really think he wanted to see where he stood in that fight. And Curtis Blades is a really good measuring stick for that, and we kind of lost that opportunity. And I think he wanted to see that himself as a fight that could potentially be somewhere where he learned something about himself. I don't think that this fight in particular was the one where he goes, okay, now where do I stand? I think he knows he could have done what he did tonight. Cyril Gane, Sergey Spivak, now we're a little closer. Even a Sergey Pavlovich, now you're starting to like learn things. But yeah, I look, there's no risk in my opinion. If if you do that, and he's young enough in his career where, let's say he did fill in. Let's say all of a sudden the UFC is without a fight for either Jon Jones or Stipe, and they go, Tommy, we're putting you in. He's young enough that if he does that on short notice and loses it, 2 more, and he's right back there. There's no shine that comes off him for losing that fight. He could build himself right back. So I say, make the call, take the shot. Why not? And then see where it goes.
Although I have zero belief that Jon would ever take the fight if Stipe was the one that got
if
injured.
Stipe falls off, yeah, it's fair.
If Jon fell off, then I could see Stipe taking it. I don't know, maybe, but either way, yeah, no harm, no foul. Just do it.
No, you're right. You're right. Jon Jones on one day being like, yeah, I'll fight Tom Aspinall on one day's notice doesn't seem as likely as most to do.
I think we're in agreement. Maybe are we in agreement that Aspinall would be a tougher fight than Stipe? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I was just making sure.
I'm not confident that this fight is going to be very competitive between Jones and Stipe. I just don't think that Stipe is there anymore, and I think Jon has looked fine in his 30 seconds at heavyweight.
Yeah.
What else we got? Who gained the most besides Aspinall in this card? Whose stock went up the most besides Tommy Aspinall, New York Ric?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess it's Craig, right?
Yeah,
like
Craig,
he puts himself into the rankings of a new division. But I do honestly believe, like, just like Stoliarenko, like fresh coat of paint, she has some new life and some new legs. She's probably coming from further, right? Like her distance from where she was kind of viewed to where she might be viewed after this is further than Paul Craig's, because I think everybody kind of loved Paul Craig and thought of him as an exciting fighter. So yeah, between the two of them, it's one of those two.
Yeah, because if Stoliarenko loses tonight or lost tonight, she easily could have been released, and I think
She's
we all
gone.
have been.
No doubt.
Okay, yeah, cool. She had a run. If Paul Craig would have lost, I think we would. We still like him. He'll come back one more.
That's it. That's right.
All right.
By the way, I didn't actually see this. Did anyone pick Molly on the parlay pals?
Funny you should ask that. We went 3 for 4 tonight. There was somebody who picked Molly McCann in the parlay pals, and it was Ariel Helwani. Now, to be fair,
oh no.
Now to be fair, obviously the Patty and Molly and Graham stuff has put a strain on the relationship with Ariel. Obviously, that's more Patty and Ariel focus, right? There's not a thing between Patty, but between Molly. But look, Patty's her teammate. That puts the strain on thing. He's extending an olive branch, saying, "Molly, I've got faith in you. I'm picking you. I'm backing you. Let's get it done." It didn't end up in his favor, but there's heart, there's sentiment behind it, and I can ride with that. But yes, unfortunately, we busted on that one. Look, I also picked over 1.5 Feely and Wood, and it looked at 7 different times like that was going to bust too. So I was sweating that one out. Not a great minus 450 addition to the parlay. So yeah, we unfortunately fell short, but look, we'll be back just like Molly.
What chalk did GC pick? What
GC had a good one. He had he had minus 7 something. He had Tom and the main event to go under 3.5.
Great pick. I mean, that's about
could have gone under half. Could have gone under 1.5. But look, we're just trying to get over the into the black here, and unfortunately, we took a step back. But
How did Wood Feely not win fight of the night? That was a fantastic fight. High level. That was high level
I'm with
martial
you.
arts. And how does Stoliarenko not get performance of the night? Sorry, I just annoyed.
Chaos wins out on these conversations.
Yeah, I hate that. Tell me what you think of this matchup.
So apparently Paul Craig
apparently
Paul Craig went on the post-fight show and called out Bo Nickel.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's just so easy to root for. He's just like, I love everything about Paul Craig. I truly I love everything about Paul Craig. The face paint works. when he gets on the mic, he's doing impressions, works. The Scottish accent works. The submissions in late in fights work. The getting it done from top and in the second round of a fight works. And then you call out Bo Nickel. He's just brilliant. This is exactly who you should be calling out. Maybe they're not ready to push Bo Nickel into a fight with a guy like Paul Craig yet, but this is exactly what you should be doing. Like, you don't aim for, I want to fight Israel Adesanya or Robert Whittaker like right away. Like, that's just not how you do it. This is a perfect call out. This is a perfect call out. I hope he gets it because I think that'd be some fun grappling there.
I like it. I like that, man.
I mean, although I will say, if Bo Nickel decides to kind of keep this one standing, it could go rough because his hands seem to be coming along pretty well.
That's the fun part about it,
That's what's fun.
Yeah, that's what's fun.
And by the way, Paul Craig, even if he gets clipped a time or two, is still going to be on his back trying to get you down there to lock you up in something. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. I love this.
Yeah, wrestler versus a jiu-jitsu guy. That's gonna be fun.
Do you think it'll be too soon? Do you think they might say Nickel needs somebody who's not as experienced as somebody like Paul Craig?
This fight's not happening next. It's not happening.
I could see it. I could see that being the case. Yeah.
But I do love the call out because at worst,
perfect.
We're planting seeds for the future. Because Paul's probably going to stick around and probably fight like back half of the top 15 guys for a little while, which is fine. But if the whole focus is every time you bring up Paul Craig's name, you bring up Bo Nickel's name, that's great. Because if Bo gets into a top 15 fight and wins, then the Paul Craig fight becomes big. And if Paul beats Bo, he gets a huge rub off of it. And if Bo beats Paul, he probably gets a title fight. So I do like the call out, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Progression wise, does this to me feels like I always kind of think of Bo and Hamzat as like comparisons because in my mind they were like as early on that I was like, yeah, from fight one I was like, yeah, that guy's going to be a future champion. Like those are the dudes. This feels like the Mearshart fight. This feels like that level. Like it feels like, okay, Mearshart was like kind of like a stick where I was like, okay, he's fighting a guy who's like super, super experienced in the UFC, kind of dangerous in the submission game. And now he knocked him out and took that level. To me, that feels like the Paul Craig fight comp for Bo Nickel. Like maybe he's like one away from this. Maybe it's the next one, but he's in the range. He's in the range where all of a sudden you get this fight and then you kind of take the ceiling off.
Yeah.
Did Paul Craig and Mearshart ever fought?
They didn't do that, and they haven't fought because they're at 205. Well, Paul's been at 205 this whole time, so.
Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah.
So the name I keep throwing up for Bo because Bo, Bo has not fought
Israel Adesanya. I know you're right.
Yeah, I
You're
love
correct.
the way you think. Hey, look, Izzy may still need an opponent for September, so. He's right there. He's available.
UFC, it's not too late. Let us not do this Sean Strickland thing, and please let's do Bo Nickel. Please, it's not too late. It's not too late.
Fun.
So my pick for Bo Nickel, Puna Soriano. Like let's just get a dude who's gonna go right after him, be a hammer. Bo will probably beat him, but it's a step up. Like it's just so tough to like go from the fifth to last best ranked middleweight to like a guy ranked even lower than that. It's not his fault. Bo was supposed to fight somebody else, supposed to fight Tresean Gore, which is a nice step up, I think, from Pickett. And now we have to make a progressive leap, but not like I saw people saying like, oh, he should fight Jun Young Park. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like that dude, Iron Turtle deserves to fight a ranked guy at this point. And now we're gonna make him fight Bo, dude. Come on.
If I'm Iron Turtle though, I beg for that Bo Nickel fight.
Yep.
I've been saying that repeatedly.
Everybody.
If I'm a high ranked middleweight, if I am Israel Adesanya, I face Bo Nickel right now. Not tomorrow, not a week from now. I face him now because he is only going to get better. Paul Craig, you go to Bo Nickel's place and his house and give him a contract. You make that fight happen.
Everybody from like 6 to unranked, top 5 aside, everybody from like 6 down should be calling for Bo Nickel. Like you should want to fight this guy, be the one to beat him and halt his progress. And yeah, let's just make Izzy versus Bo. I don't need to see this Sean Strickland fight. Let's do the right thing, UFC.
I would love that. Oh, I love that.
That's crazy. By the way, I just saw a tweet from ESPN. It's from ESPN Stats and Info. Tom Aspinall right now has the shortest average fight time in UFC history with a minimum of 5 fights. 2 minutes and 19 seconds average fight
Somehow
time.
not Ronda?
No, I guess not.
I guess later in Ronda's run, some of them started getting longer, but wow.
No.
The Tate fight got extended a little bit, and then...
Like 3 rounds.
But yeah, Aspinall... Has Aspinall gotten out of the first? Yet?
I feel like he's been in a
even
second
in the loss, right?
before. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he's been in a second.
The loss was like the first 15 seconds of the fight or something.
I mean, that'll certainly help those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is an absolute buzzsaw. Yeah, he went into the second against Arlovsky, which is what I thought the fight was that he went into the second. But god dang, some of these numbers, I get it.
45, 135, 230, 15. Yeah, I mean, the 15-second loss is what puts it over the top. Unfortunately, that's what kind of gives him the record. But
that's a weird one. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Dude,
take a couple more.
Man, sometimes I feel like we're underrating Aspinall. I know we just need the names, but like if I just look at the statistics and the dominance and take away the fluke loss, because that is a fluke loss.
But that was the one that was gonna, I think, make people believe. That was the one that you take out Curtis Blades, and I don't think anybody underrates him anymore. I think this is a star-making performance. Like I think the narrative on him will change a little bit, but Blades was the one. Blades was the one where he would have vaulted, in my opinion.
Yeah, and now Jailton's getting that fight. So Jailton, Jailton's gonna be super interesting in this conversation if he goes out there and just mushes Curtis Blades.
He's the one I'm not as sure about if I'm looking at the guys. I'm fairly certain about Pavlovich. I'm fairly certain about Aspinall. Jailton, I want to see a little bit more. I'm not 100% ready to just be like, yeah, he's in that mix yet. But from what he's shown so far, he is. And Curtis Blades is a great measuring stick. We're gonna find out how real he is.
Yep.
I just want to bring this fighter up because we respect the rankings and he deserves to be talked about.
Oh,
yeah.
I know. I know. It's just this division. It's not her. It's not her.
It's not her.
Awful division. Did Ketlen Vieira do enough to insert herself in the title picture at women's bantamweight? Did she maintain her number 4 spot in the rankings? The latter?
No.
She's definitely not in the title picture right now.
She maintained. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in a spot.
Yeah. She's
go
way
ahead,
back.
Mike. You go.
She's way back. She's way back. Even though she's number 4, I think Irene Aldana is ranked behind her. I think Aldana is still ahead of Ketlen Vieira. Even
that's what I was going to say.
Struck by Amanda Nunes. Yeah, go ahead.
She's in a spot where her ranking is not representative of how far she is in the pecking order. She is further back. Mayra Bueno Silva. Now we've got the potential fight. It seems like it's taking a while to kind of sort this out, but Pennington and Pena, freaking Macy Barber's chirping at Juliana Pena. If she came up, she'd get a title shot before Ketlen Vieira. She'd fight a contender fight before Ketlen Vieira. So not her fault. Again, it's getting on the mic. There's a certain element to this that calling your shot, getting on the mic, being able to kind of put yourself for even Mayra Bueno Silva, A+ in her post-fight interview. English is not her first language, but A+ in her post-fight interview. She did a baby face. She's talking about other the injury suffered on the card. She's calling out Juliana Pena. That helps. That goes a long way. And when it's 29-28 over Penny, and that's all we get, it's easy to kind of fade into the background, unfortunately. But it's not on the merits of what she's doing. She's doing well, and she belongs in the spot she's in. But there's more to this game than just that. Yeah. But it is not her fault. But she's further back.
Yeah, Vieira is a great athlete, good fighter.
Yeah,
but she is not a very good prize fighter. And that's what the UFC is interested in. Yeah.
Yeah, that fight certainly happened.
Yeah.
I know, and none of us are trying to crap.
It was a smart performance. It was a smart performance.
It was fine.
Be the hammer.
It was a good performance.
Yeah. good top position the whole time. It's just not one we're ever going to see again.
Yeah.
It's not moving her anywhere. That's the unfortunate truth. It's not going to move her anywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those wins where you actually might go backwards in the rankings.
Yeah.
Let's just
say other things happen around you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, New York Ric, and I feel like this is a pretty obvious question. Let's just say the UFC booked Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena for the vacant title right now. And let's just say one of these ladies couldn't make it. Mayra Brenda Silva couldn't make it. But we got to get somebody in there to fight one of these women. But there's only 2 available. There's only 2 in the conversation that could get it. Who does the UFC call first? Ketlin Vieira coming off of a win? Or Holly Holm coming off of a second-round submission loss?
I was hoping you were going to say
that. It'd be Holly Holm.
Holly Holm.
Or, you know what?
I think you're right.
Quite frankly, I know you said there's only 2 names. I know you said there's only 2 names, and Holly Holm would get it. But I think even if you opened it up and expanded it, I think Miesha Tate would get a call before Ketlin Vieira. I think if Pennington, I think Aldana would get a call. I think if
Vieira's
Pennington,
beaten both of them. Vieira's beaten both of those women.
That's not what this business is. This is for the title, and this is for pay-per-view points, and they're just not going to hand it out like that. The fights I really want to see. I really want to see Pennington fight Bueno Silva just so I can get Pena versus Macy Barber. Those are the fights that I want to happen just so I can see that. I really want Macy Barber and Juliana Pena.
Can you imagine Macy Barber ends up being the bantamweight champion after Nunes?
Why not? Why not?
What a turn of events it would be, because Macy, I was in Jacksonville and Macy fought Amanda Hebus. Amanda Hebus was over Rover in Jacksonville. Macy was not a fan favorite, and she hasn't been for a while. But man, if she fought Juliana Pena, I think a lot of people would cheer for her. And if she became the bantamweight champion in a babyface win, it'd be one of the greatest turns from heel to babyface, maybe in the history of the UFC.
There'd be a lot of heat on that. And
she'll become the youngest female champion, right?
How old is who else would be in the running? How old was Ronda? How old is Rose? Yeah,
maybe
how old was Rose?
Maybe Rose. But I don't know. Just saying, she'll be the youngest bantamweight champion.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Ronda? I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't know the statistics on this. The only one I always know is the Jon Jones 23 years and X number of days. That's the only one I know.
We good?
More questions?
We'll take one more. Give me one more.
Yeah,
give me the best one you got.
All right. Oh, best one. Hold on. Let me get rid of this one.
Yeah, it's not that one.
Yeah, not that
Yeah,
one.
we got AK's on vacation, Damon's on vacation. We got shit to do,
Yeah. All right, last one.
Both.
Are
you watching Barbie or Oppenheimer this weekend? You're watching both?
Barbenheimer all day.
Barbenheimer?
What are you watching first? Though?
See, I feel like this is the correct answer. I don't feel like it's a debate. You must watch Oppenheimer, then Barbie. That's the order.
Okay.
You have to have your meal and then have your dessert. That's just common sense right there. You have the meal and then you have your dessert. So I'm all in on Barbenheimer. Oh yeah, you better bet that Oppenheimer's getting watched and then Barbie's getting watched right after it. That's the move.
See, I'm in a bit of a dilemma because tomorrow I'm actually I'm doing a jiu-jitsu competition tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah. So I've been cutting weight. I'm down. I had to make 165, so I'm 165 pounds right now. Slim. Yeah.
So does that mean you're not eating right now? Are you just gonna try and carry it through all the way till tomorrow?
Oh, dude, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you. But I won't have time to watch 2 movies, so I have to. But I told my wife, Esther Lynn, the great Esther Lynn, that we have to watch one because she leaves for Vegas to go work the Spence Crawford fight Monday. So all right, we have our Sunday evening. We have to watch one of these. So we haven't decided.
Which did you choose? Oh,
I don't know.
It's still up in the air.
It's still up in there. I have a feeling we're probably going to see Barbie, but I really want to see Oppenheimer too.
Does it depend on how your jiu-jitsu tournament goes? Maybe you win and you're in a good mood and you're like, oh wow, like I want to get really like reflective and watch Oppenheimer, or you win and you're like, oh, that was so much fun, amazing, I'm in such a like happy-go-lucky type mood, and you watch Barbie. Like I feel like the vibes of how you win, because I'm not even accounting for like the other potential.
Yeah.
But after you win, maybe the vibes of how you feel after your performance, you're just like, yeah, let's go do one or the other.
I don't know. We're gonna play by ear tomorrow, but
let it ride. Yeah, see how you feel after the tournament.
It is a dilemma. It's weighing on me.
Or you find some rando drive-in somewhere where you can watch both back to back.
I don't know if I have the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually start pretty late, so
yeah.
You just sit in the comfort of your vehicle. You put a little Bluetooth speakers, and just load up on food, and you can eat that popcorn. It's a good time.
At a drive-through does sound kind of cool. That feels, I don't know. I'll let you guys know Monday. I'll get you. I'll keep you
us updated. Show us the gold medal. Show us the gold medal and let us know what you picked.
All right.
Yes. Hopefully you're go on the MMA Hour and give us an update on everything that happened. I think that's the way to go. All right, you can hit the music. Thank you very much. Matchmaking going down tomorrow. On to the next one. As of right now, I'm doing the show solo with your picks, so just submit them and we'll just get through it. And then AK will be back next week, and things will go right back to normal right here on the MMA Fighting Network. And then, of course, next week, everybody, UFC 291, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje 2 for the BMF freaking title. That card's pretty damn good. Well, main card's really good. Prelims are kind of meh, but the main card's incredible. It is incredible. So get excited. It's going to be a car crash of epic proportions for the BMF title, just the way it should be. So thank you all very much. It's going to be a fun week. For New York Ric, for Casey, I am Mike Heck. Hope you guys enjoyed UFC London. We'll see you later on.